Today's adventure is a hike to Tamanawas Falls. We're in the Mount Hood Forest region on the north side, just off of Highway 35 between Hood River and Government Camp in Oregon. We're going to take the Tamanawas Falls Trail 650A. It's approximately 1.7 to 2 miles each direction. All right. We're heading towards the Tamanawas Falls, and our first step leaving the trailhead of the parking area is to cross the log bridge. There's a trail number 650A that goes out to Tamanawas Falls. There's also a loop trail here that you can follow, trail 650 north and then 645 through Elk Meadows, and that's a 5-mile loop if you wanted to do a longer hike. Following 650A towards the Tamanawas Falls is about 1.7 miles one way, so it's about 3.4 miles round trip. It's a nice sunny day. The Tamanawas Falls hike is between Government Camp and Hood River, Oregon. It's kind of on the northeast side of Mount Hood. So it's nice and sunny on this side of the mountain, and there's a good combination of shade from the trees and sunlight coming through. So it's nice and cool. We're probably about a quarter mile in, and we're already coming up along the creek here, and we'll follow along the creek on the way to the falls. The trail parallels Highway 35 down below and the creek as well. There's a little bit of climbing in the first part of the trail as you leave the trailhead. There's a few inclines that you have to make before an intersection where you'll stay to the left to go towards the falls. So if you stay to the right, you'll head towards Palali Trailhead, which is 1 mile. That's one of the trailheads off Highway 35. And then you can actually loop around through Elk Meadows on trail 645 back down to the falls, but that's if you're doing the 5-mile loop. So we're going to stay to the left and head towards the falls on trail number 650A. We're coming up on another one of the log bridges that are used to cross the waterway and continue on the trail towards the falls. The trail winds its way along Old Spring Creek. See a squirrel wandering around over here. I'm sure he'll disappear by the time I get around. There's a few sections with quite a bit of rocks and larger boulders. I'm sure at some point would have tumbled down the mountain area above. But for the most part, it stays pretty shady along the trail. There's little stepaways along the trail where you could drop down to the waterway. They're pretty frequent. Some are steeper than others. You see there's a few sections with quite a bit of rocks that you have to navigate. Not too difficult, but there is quite a few rocks. So here's the intersection. To the left here is the Tamanawas Falls. To the right is Elk Meadows Trail. If you want to loop back and do the 5 miles, you would continue to the right here. We're at the last section here that comes around to the falls. Another rocky descent. It's probably an understatement. You see a lot of these boulders that have come down the mountain up here to my right. The size of the boulders here is pretty impressive. Some of these fallen boulder slabs are pretty slick. I can imagine in the wintertime it might be pretty tough to come across. There's an incline we'll have to take up here ahead before we reach the falls. And we got to make it up this steep incline. Probably doesn't look very steep on camera, but it is pretty steep. You can tell there's a few areas with some landslides and rock slides, and quite a ways down to the creek. So you have to be very careful if you're making this hike. Make sure you have some good shoes. Just starting to get a glimpse of the falls to make this last stretch coming around. You can already feel the cool mist of water coming off of the falls. So we made it to the falls. You can see the waterways running down here out of the hill. And the falls just over here in the distance. Alright. Gonna make the trip over here, closer to the falls. A lot of slick rocks on the way up here.